The Grand Assembly Hall on Station Kepler 442 stretched 3 kilometers in diameter, a feat of engineering that housed the Galactic Council. Ambassador Director Marcus Webb stood at the center of the speaking platform, alone under lights that felt more like interrogation beams than diplomatic courtesy. Above him, arranged in concentric circles rising toward the domed ceiling, sat representatives from 47 species. Each delegation occupied a section designed for their specific environmental needs. The Quarians breathed methane in sealed chambers. The Volcar absorbed radiation through crystalline bodies. The Thelians required half the gravity that pressed down on Marcus right now. The human ambassador wore a dark suit with Earth's symbol, a simple blue sphere on his chest. No weapons, no guards. Just one man representing a planet that had joined this ancient governmental body only 8 years ago. Around him, translation devices hummed, converting his words into thousands of languages simultaneously. High Arbiter Velm, a Quarian whose species had founded the Council 900 years earlier, looked down from the highest tier. His translator made his voice sound like grinding stones. Ambassador Webb, humanity stands accused of violating the Civilization Protection Protocols. Specifically Article 12, Section 4, you have sent a representative from Earth, classified as a Class 12 Deathworld, to attend the Interstellar Naval Academy. This violates 3 centuries of established safety doctrine. Marcus did not flinch. He had prepared for this moment since the summons arrived 6 hours ago. High Arbiter, with respect, we violated nothing. Article 12 prohibits the admission of candidates who cannot meet entrance requirements. My daughter scored in the 97th percentile. She met every qualification your academy published. A holographic display ignited above the chamber, filling the air with data. Earth rotated slowly, its blue oceans and green continents visible. Then came the statistics. Gravity, 1 full standard unit, 40% higher than galactic average. Atmospheric oxygen, 21%, toxic to 60% of council species. Native predators, charts showing creatures called lions, bears, crocodiles, sharks. Evolution summary, 4 billion years of competition. Survival of the fittest. Predator and prey locked in endless adaptation. The Threxian ambassador rose from his delegation's section. Calyx Vorn stood 2.5 meters tall, covered in dark blue scales, with a crest that flared when he spoke. His species came from a 0.9 gravity world and considered themselves apex predators. The statistics prove our point. Humans evolved in conditions that make them fundamentally dangerous. Your daughter put 7 cadets in intensive care, 7 in 9 seconds. Marcus had expected this. Those 7 cadets ambushed her in the restricted area. They used political influence to access a combat facility after hours. They lured her there under false pretenses. She defended herself. Defended? Calyx's crest flared wider. She nearly killed my nephew. Crushed his throat. Broke his ribs. Your kind calls that defense. We call it proof that Deathworlders cannot control their violent nature. The chamber filled with murmurs. Species conversed in their sections. Marcus recognized the dynamic immediately. Fear. They were afraid of what his daughter represented. Not because she was cruel or evil, but because she was capable in ways they could not match. Velm raised a limb for silence. Ambassador Webb, the Council must consider the safety of all member species. 300 years ago, the Crinner, another Deathworld species, attended our institutions. The result was the Crinner incident. 12 students died. 17 more were permanently injured. We enacted the Civilization Protection Protocols to prevent such tragedies. Your daughter's actions suggest we were correct to do so. Marcus took a breath. This was the moment. He reached into his jacket and produced a data chip, holding it up so the cameras captured it. High Arbiter, I have footage from the Academy, recorded 4 hours ago. It shows exactly what happened. Before this council votes to sanction Earth to isolate humanity, to declare us too dangerous for civilized space, you should see the truth. He paused, letting the silence stretch. And then you should ask yourselves a question. Do you want to make an enemy of a species you already fear? The chamber erupted. Representatives shouted in a dozen languages. Some demanded he be removed for threatening the council. Others called for the footage to be shown immediately. Velm raised both limbs, a gesture that demanded attention. "You dare threaten this council?" Marcus shook his head. "Not a threat, High Arbiter. A fact. You invited Earth into the galactic community. We accepted your laws, your customs, your institutions. We followed every rule. And when my daughter was attacked by 7 assailants who broke multiple Academy regulations, she defended herself with restraint most species could not manage. If you punish her for that, if you punish humanity for being what evolution made us, then yes, you make an enemy. Not because we want conflict, but because you will have declared that being strong is a crime." Velm studied the human ambassador for a long moment. Finally, he gestured to the chamber's technicians. "Show the footage." Marcus stepped back as the holographic display changed. The Grand Assembly Hall dimmed. Above them all, a new scene materialized. The Academy's combat training facility. A spherical chamber 100 meters across. 7 figures in cadet uniforms, tall and scaled and confident. And one human girl, smaller than any of them, standing alone. But before the footage could begin, Marcus spoke once more. "Watch carefully. Not just what she does, but what she chooses not to do. That is the difference between humans and the Crinner. We have the capability for violence, but we also have the wisdom to control it." The footage started. Marcus watched the council representatives lean forward in their chambers, watching his daughter face 7 attackers. He knew what came next. 9 seconds that would determine whether humanity had a future among the stars, or whether Earth would return to isolation. Alone in a galaxy that feared them too much to accept them, 3 months earlier. Before the council hearing, before the incident, 18-year-old Kira Webb had arrived at the Interstellar Naval Academy with one goal: prove that humans belonged. She stepped off the transport onto Titan 7, a moon converted entirely into an educational facility. The Academy covered 40 kilometers of surface, a mixture of towers, domes, and underground complexes. 800 first-year cadets from across the galaxy would spend the next 4 years learning tactics, engineering, diplomacy, and combat. Kira was the only human. She walked through the orientation area carrying a single bag. Other cadets stared. Some moved away. Others whispered in languages her translator could not catch. She understood the reaction. To them, she was an alien from a death world, a planet so harsh that surviving there meant becoming something dangerous. Her assigned quarters were in Training Wing Delta. The corridor outside her room ran at 0.7 gravity, standard for most species. Her door had a special seal. Inside, the gravity increased to full 1G Earth standard. The Academy had built this room specifically for her. Isolated so her presence would not disturb others, Kira dropped her bag and sat on the bed. The mattress was too soft, designed for species with lighter bones. She would need to request modifications. She pulled out her communication device and recorded a message for her father. "Made it. Everyone is scared of me. I have not even done anything yet. This is going to be harder than I thought." She did not send it. Instead, she deleted the recording and stood up. Complaining would not help. She needed to be perfect. Not good, perfect, one mistake and the council would use it to bar all humans from galactic institutions forever. The next morning, Kira attended her first class. Tactical theory, taught by Commander Rill, a Vexen with 4 arms and eyes that could see into infrared. The classroom had adjustable gravity. Kira's section was set to 0.9 G, a compromise between her needs and the system's limits. Commander Rill did not acknowledge her directly. He simply began the lecture. Warfare in space follows different rules than planetary combat. Gravity, atmosphere, and terrain become variables you must account for. Today we will discuss fleet positioning. Kira took notes. The material was familiar. She had studied Earth's military history extensively before applying. Naval tactics, army strategy, guerrilla warfare. Humanity had refined violence into science over thousands of years of constant conflict. Halfway through the lecture, Rill posed a question. A hostile fleet approaches your position. You have 3 ships, inferior firepower, and a planetary gravity well nearby. What is your optimal strategy? Several cadets offered answers. Use the gravity well as cover. Retreat and regroup. Call for reinforcements. Rill nodded but seemed unsatisfied. Cadet Webb, your assessment. Kira looked up. Every head in the classroom turned toward her. She felt their attention like physical weight. Use the gravity well as a weapon. Calculate trajectories that slingshot our ships at higher velocities than the enemy expects. Emerge from behind the planet at angles they cannot predict. Force them to split their formation to track us. Then concentrate fire on their weakest ship while they are divided. The classroom went silent. Rill's eyes narrowed. That strategy requires precise calculation and high-speed maneuvering that would generate G-forces lethal to most crews. Yes, sir. But the question did not specify crew limitations. Rill made a sound that might have been approval. Correct. You think like a Deathworlder, Cadet Webb, violence as a tool, applied without hesitation? He paused. The Academy will either teach you restraint or remove you. Time will tell which. After class, Kira walked alone through the corridors. Other cadets gave her space. She understood why. Her physiological data was public record. Academy medical staff had scanned her upon arrival. The results showed bone density that classified her as megafauna, muscle attachment points that could generate force impossible for galactic standard biology, and a cardiovascular system that could flood her body with oxygen and adrenaline in seconds. To them, she was a predator walking among prey. The harassment began in the second week. Subtle at first. Kira would enter the common dining area and conversations would stop. Tables would empty as she approached. Someone started a rumor that humans ate meat exclusively, that they were obligate carnivores who could not digest civilized food. It was false, but the rumor spread anyway. Then came the pranks. Kira returned to her quarters after a long day of classes to find her gravity settings had been changed. The room was at 0.4 G, less than half Earth standard. She stumbled, disoriented, her inner ear struggling to adapt. She had to crawl to the control panel to fix it. The next incident involved her food. The Academy maintained a separate preparation facility for human meals, because her nutritional requirements were considered extreme by galactic standards. Someone contaminated her dinner with a compound harmless to most species, but which gave her severe stomach cramps. She spent 4 hours in her quarters, refusing to visit medical because she knew they would report it and the investigation would reveal nothing. Kira knew who was responsible. 7 second-year cadets from the Threxian Dominion. They were led by Vornskel, whose father was an admiral in the Threxian fleet. Vorns and his friends represented everything the Academy valued: tall, strong by galactic standards, politically connected. From a species that contributed significantly to Council military resources, they hated her. Not because she had done anything to them, but because her existence challenged their position. For their entire lives, they had been the strongest, the fastest, the most dangerous. Then a human arrived and made them look weak by comparison. The confrontations escalated. One afternoon, Kira was walking to her engineering class when Vorns and 3 of his friends blocked the corridor. They spread out, forcing her to either push through or take a different route. Kira stopped walking. "Excuse me," she said calmly. Vorns lowered his head, a Threxian threat display. His crest rose and turned dark red. The gesture was meant to trigger instinctive fear in other species. "You do not belong here, human. Everyone knows it? Even the instructors. You are a mistake that will be corrected soon." Kira met his eyes without flinching. Her heart rate barely elevated. Earth had predators far more frightening than an oversized lizard with social insecurity. "Are you going to move? Or do I need to report this?" One of Vorn's friends laughed. "Report it to who?" "Everyone knows humans are violent. You would probably claim we attacked you. Then you would attack us and blame us for it. That is what Deathworlders do." Kira considered her options. She could push through. Her strength advantage meant they could not physically stop her without escalating to actual violence. But if she touched any of them, they would report it as assault. The academy would have to investigate. The council was already looking for reasons to expel her. She took the long route to class. That night, Kira sat in her quarters and contacted her father through encrypted channels. Marcus appeared on the screen, his expression concerned. He was aboard Earth's orbital diplomatic station, dealing with mounting pressure from council representatives. "They are pushing harder every day," Marcus said. "The Threxian ambassador has suggested that if you remain at the academy, several Dominion families will withdraw their cadets. The council is worried about losing Threxian military support." Kira leaned back. "So I am not just fighting 7 bullies. I am fighting an entire political structure that wants me gone. Yes, the question is what you want to do about it. You can come home. No one would blame you. You have already proven humans can qualify for the academy. That alone is progress. Or I can stay and prove we belong here." Marcus nodded slowly. "If you stay, you have to be perfect. One mistake, one loss of control, and they will use it to shut humanity out of galactic institutions for generations. The pressure will get worse. They want you to break." Kira thought about this. She thought about Earth, isolated and young, trying to find its place in a galaxy that had existed for millennia without them. She thought about the humans who would come after her, who would face the same prejudice unless someone changed the narrative. "I am staying," she said. Over the following weeks, the academic pressure mounted alongside the harassment. Kira excelled in subjects like tactics, xenobiology, and engineering. Her ability to process multiple variables simultaneously, a trait common among humans raised in complex social environments, gave her advantages in strategic planning. She could visualize battle scenarios with clarity that impressed even her instructors, but she struggled in other areas. Zero-G maneuvering was difficult. Her bone density and muscle mass made her movements clumsy in null gravity. While other cadets floated gracefully through three-dimensional space, Kira had to use thrusters constantly to avoid spinning out of control. Diplomatic protocol was worse. The course taught interaction standards for 47 species, each with different social structures. Humans were so new to the galactic community that the textbook had only 2 pages about them, and half of that was warnings about aggression and territoriality. Vorns and his friends targeted these weaknesses. They would schedule practice sessions in the Zero-G facility during times Kira had reserved, forcing her to either cancel or confront them. They spread rumors about her failing grades, which were not true but which other students believed because it fit their expectations. The only person who remained consistently friendly was Prin, a Volker whose crystalline body absorbed radiation for energy. Prin was from a species with a small population and neutral political stance, which meant association with Kira carried no career risk. "They want you to strike first?" Prin said one day while they studied in the library. The Volkir's voice came from a speaker embedded in their crystalline structure. "If you attack anyone, even in self-defense, you prove everything they say about humans. You become the violent Deathworlder who cannot control herself." "I know," Kira said. "So I take the harassment and hope it eventually stops." "It will not stop." Vorn's pride is wounded. In Threxian culture, backing down from confrontation is worse than death. He will keep escalating until something breaks. Kira did not respond. She knew Prin was right. The turning point came during a practical engineering exam. The test required cadets to repair a damaged sensor array 40 meters above the lab floor in 0.7 G. Kira was halfway through the installation when her safety harness released. The clip had been tampered with, filed down so it would fail under stress. She fell. 40 meters in 0.7 G, which meant she would hit the ground at roughly 30 kilometers per hour. Fatal for most species. Probably fatal for humans too, depending on how she landed. Kira's enhanced reaction time kicked in. The world slowed down. Not actually, but her perception of it accelerated as adrenaline flooded her system and her brain processed information faster. She saw the support strut 3 meters to her left. She saw the angle of her fall. She calculated trajectories automatically, a function of living on a planet where falling meant death. She twisted midair, caught the strut with one hand, felt the impact jar her shoulder. She used her momentum to swing, redirecting her velocity. Then she released, falling the last 5 meters in a controlled drop. She hit the ground in a roll that distributed force across her body instead of concentrating it in her legs. Pain flared in her left wrist, fractured. She felt it immediately. But she stood up, reset her harness with a spare clip from her toolkit, and climbed back up to finish the exam. She completed it with her fractured wrist throbbing, never showing pain on her face. Only after submitting her work did she report to medical. The incident was caught on security cameras. Commandant Torvin reviewed the footage with his senior staff. The Zenith officer watched the fall 3 times, studying every movement. 0.3 seconds, one instructor said. From harness failure to catching the strut. That should be impossible. The perception time alone would exceed that. Another instructor added, and she continued the exam with a broken bone. The pain should have been incapacitating. Torvin froze the image on Kira's face as she climbed back up the tower. No grimace. No tears. Just focus. This is what Deathworlder evolution produces. Pain tolerance, reaction speed, and determination that overrides physical damage. She is remarkable. She is dangerous, another voice said. Perhaps. Or perhaps she is exactly what the Academy needs. Torvin closed the footage. Arrange increased monitoring. I want to know if anyone else has been tampering with her equipment. But the monitoring came too late to prevent what happened next. Because Vornskel had run out of patience. His honor demanded a direct confrontation. He and his 6 closest friends planned something definitive. They would force Kira into a physical altercation, make her defend herself, and then report her as the aggressor. They chose the 0G combat training facility. Late in the sleep cycle when monitoring was minimal, Vorns used his father's influence to access the chamber. Then he sent Kira a message, forged to look like it came from Commander Rill, requesting remedial combat training. Kira received the message and felt something cold settle in her stomach. She knew this was a trap, but she also knew refusing would look like cowardice. And if she went and nothing happened, she would have worried for nothing. She activated her personal recording device and headed to the training facility. The combat training chamber was a sphere 100 meters in diameter, designed for 0G warfare exercises. When Kira entered, the gravity was set to 0.9 G Threxian standard. The doors sealed behind her with a magnetic lock that required override codes. She did not have. 7 figures stood in the center of the chamber. Vornskel and his friends, all wearing training gear. No weapons, but their claws were unsheathed. In the higher gravity, they moved with the confidence of predators in their natural environment. Kira stopped walking. She assessed the situation instantly. 7 opponents, each massing around 120 kilos, with reach advantages and combat training. The chamber was designed to prevent escape. The gravity favored them slightly, but did not completely negate her advantages. Her recording device was active. Vorn spoke first. His crest was fully raised, dark red with aggression. No instructors here, human? No witnesses except us. You have insulted my honor repeatedly. Refuse to show proper respect. May my friends and me look weak. That ends now. Kira kept her voice calm. This is assault. You are risking expulsion? One of Vorn's friends, a Threxian named Dex, laughed. Who will believe you? 7 of us will report that you attacked us. Your recording will show you struck first because we will make sure that is what happens. Self-defense, just like you used before. Another friend, Myra, circled to Kira's left. You think being from a death world makes you special. Makes you strong. Today we teach you that strength means nothing without numbers. Kira recognized the strategy. They wanted to hurt her badly enough that she would fight back violently. Then they would claim she lost control. The Council would see it as proof that humans could not be trusted in civilized institutions. She tried once more. Walk away. This will not end the way you think. Vorns crouched lower, ready to spring. You are outnumbered 7-1. You are in our environment. And when we are done, you will leave this academy and take your primitive species back to your violent little planet. Kira made her decision. She had spent 3 months being perfect, absorbing harassment, controlling herself. She had followed every rule. And these 7 had broken every rule to corner her in an isolated chamber where they thought they could hurt her without consequences. She was done being perfect. Okay, she said quietly. Let me show you why humans are Deathworlders. Vorns lunged. He was fast by galactic standards, crossing 5 meters in under a second. His claws extended toward Kira's shoulder, intending to rake across and draw blood. It was meant to hurt, but not permanently damage. Kira moved. To the security cameras and to Vorn's friends, she seemed to blur. She sidestepped with speed that her Earth-evolved nervous system made possible. Her hand shot out and caught Vorn's wrist. Her bone density and muscle attachment points let her grip with force that shocked him. She used his momentum against him. Pivoting smoothly, she redirected his charge and threw him into 2 of his friends. The impact sounded like a collision between small vehicles. All 3 went down in a tangle of limbs and tails. 1 second elapsed. The 4 remaining Threxians attacked simultaneously. They had trained together, moved as a unit, but they had trained against opponents with galactic standard reaction times. Kira's brain processed information 30% faster than theirs. She saw their movements before they completed them. She dropped low, sweeping Dex's legs. As he fell, she rose into an elbow strike that caught Myra in the solar plexus. The blow, delivered with human strength in 0.9 G, folded Myra over. Air exploded from her lungs. 4 seconds had passed. 2 more converged. 1 swung his tail, a heavy appendage capable of breaking bones. It caught Kira in the ribs. She felt the impact, felt pain flare, but her reinforced skeletal structure absorbed the force without breaking. She responded with a palm strike to the attacker's sternum, controlled but devastating. He staggered backward, unable to breathe. The other received a knee strike to the midsection that lifted him. Off his feet, 6 seconds, Vorns had untangled himself and charged again. Rage overrode his tactical thinking. Kira saw him coming, timed her movement perfectly. She stepped inside his guard, which his height made possible, and delivered a precise strike to his throat. Not full force, which would have crushed his larynx completely, but controlled impact that stunned his vagus nerve. Vorns collapsed. Gasping for air. 7 seconds, the 2 who were initially thrown with Vorns got back up. They saw their 5 friends down or disabled and hesitated. But training and pride pushed them forward. 1 came at Kira with coordinated claw strikes. She deflected the first, caught the second, and used a hip throw that sent him face first into the floor. 8 seconds, the last one standing looked around the chamber. 7 friends, all down. Kira stood in the center, breathing hard but controlled. She had a bruise forming on her ribs and a split lip from a blow she had not quite dodged. But she was standing. He raised his hands. Stop, stop. 9 seconds total. Kira looked at each fallen Threxian. Vorns was clutching his throat, his breathing ragged. Dex had a broken wrist. Myra had cracked ribs. The others had various injuries, concussions, fractures, severe bruising, 1 dislocated shoulder. All of them would survive. All of them would recover completely with proper medical care. She had controlled every strike. She could have done worse. Much worse. But she chose not to. Kira turned to face the security camera directly. She knew it was recording. She spoke clearly. Self-defense. 7 attackers ambushed me in a restricted area. I have my own recording. I'm going to medical now to report this assault and my injuries. She walked to the door controls, overrode the lock with an emergency release, and left, behind her. The 7 Threxian cadets lay in various states of injury. Within 20 minutes, medical teams would arrive. Within an hour, all 7 would be in intensive care. Within 2 hours, the academy would be in crisis. Within 4 hours, The Galactic Council would be an emergency session because a human girl had defended herself against 7 trained opponents in 9 seconds. And now the galaxy had to decide what that meant. Kira walked through the empty corridors toward the medical center. Her ribs ached with every breath. Her lip was still bleeding. Her hands were bruised from impacts. But she felt something she had not felt in 3 months. Freedom. She had stopped hiding. She had stopped being perfect. She had shown them exactly what a human could do. When pushed too far, now came the consequences. The medical center staff looked shocked when she entered. A human, injured but walking, reporting an assault. They scanned her immediately. Cracked rib, split lip, deep bruising across her torso, strained shoulder. Then they asked about the others. 7 Threxian cadets in the 0G combat facility. They need emergency response. The medical director, a Pregen with 6 limbs, stared at her. 7? You fought 7 opponents? I defended myself against 7 attackers. Within minutes, emergency teams rushed to the combat facility. Within an hour, the extent of the injuries became clear. Vornskel required immediate surgery for his damaged throat. The others had injuries that would take weeks to heal even with advanced medical technology. Commandant Torvin arrived at the medical center personally. He looked at Kira, then at her scan results, then back at her. You put 7 cadets in intensive care. They ambushed me. I have recording, 7 trained fighters, 7 criminals who violated Academy regulations to assault a fellow cadet. Torvin was silent for a long moment. Finally, he said, You are confined to quarters pending investigation. The council has been notified. Your father is being summoned to Station Kepler for an emergency hearing. Kira nodded. She had expected this. Am I under arrest? Not yet. But the Threxian ambassador is demanding it. This has become an interstellar incident. Kira walked back to her quarters under guard. Not because she was dangerous to the guards, but because the Academy did not know what else to do with her. She entered her room, the door sealed behind her, and she sat on her bed. Her communication device buzzed. A message from her father. I am coming. Whatever happens, I am proud of you. Kira lay back and stared at the ceiling. 9 seconds. That was all it took to change everything. The Grand Assembly Hall on Station Kepler 442 was in chaos. The emergency session had been called with only 4 hours' notice, but every council representative was present. The stakes were too high for absence. Humanity's place in galactic civilization hung in the balance. Ambassador Director Marcus Webb stood at the center platform again, but this time the atmosphere was hostile. Delegates shouted from their chambers in multiple languages. Translation devices struggled to keep up with the volume of outrage. High Arbiter Velm raised both limbs for silence. It too. Several minutes for the chamber to quiet. When it did, Velm spoke with gravity that resonated through translation devices. This emergency session addresses the incident at the Interstellar Naval Academy 3 hours ago. 7 cadets from the Threxian Dominion are in intensive care. 1 required emergency surgery. All were injured by a single human cadet. The council must decide how to proceed. The Threxian ambassador Calix Vorn stood immediately. His crest was fully raised, dark with anger. There is no decision to make. The human attacked 7 students without provocation. This is exactly what we warned you would happen. Deathworlders cannot control their violent instincts. Ambassador Webb's daughter should be arrested immediately and humanity should be expelled from all council institutions. Murmurs of agreement rippled through several delegations. The Quarians, the Prisions, and several smaller species nodded their equivalent of approval. Marcus remained calm. High Arbiter, before accusations are made, I request the council review all available evidence. My daughter's personal recording and the Academy's security footage. Both tell a very different story than Ambassador Vorn suggests. Your daughter's recording could be edited, Calix shot back. Humans have advanced technology. Who knows what manipulation occurred? The Academy's footage cannot be edited, Marcus said firmly. It has cryptographic verification. I request it be shown to the full council. Velm considered this. Very well. We will review all evidence before proceeding. The chamber's holographic system activated. The footage appeared, visible from every delegation's position. It showed the combat training facility from multiple angles. 7 Threxian cadets entered first, moving with purpose. 15 minutes later, Kira Webb entered alone. The door sealed behind her. No retreat possible. The council watched in silence as the confrontation unfolded. Vorn's blocking Kira's path. His threatening speech. The moment he lunged, then 9 seconds of combat that defied everything most species understood about violence. To beings from low-gravity worlds with cooperative evolution, what they saw looked like carnage. Kira moved with speed that seemed supernatural. She struck with precision that appeared calculated. 7 opponents fell like training dummies. But those with military experience, those from warrior cultures, saw something different. They saw restraint. When the footage ended, the chamber was absolutely silent. Marcus spoke into that silence. My daughter was ambushed by 7 cadets who used political influence to access a restricted area. They conspired to force a confrontation. They attacked her 7-1. She defended herself. Every strike was controlled. She could have killed them. She chose not to. That shows remarkable discipline for someone you are calling a violent monster. Calyx was not finished. Discipline? 7 cadets are in intensive care. My nephew may have permanent damage to his throat. This is what you call restrained. A new voice entered the debate. Commander Rill rose from the observer section where Academy staff sat. The Vexen instructor approached the speaking platform with Velm's permission. Hi, Arbiter. I reviewed the footage extensively. I teach combat at the Academy. I have trained thousands of cadets over 3 decades. What I saw was not rage. It was technique. Every strike Cadet Webb delivered was calculated for specific effect. She broke bones that would heal. She avoided spines and skulls. She controlled her strength carefully. If she had used full force, we would be discussing casualties, not injuries. Another instructor stood. Medical Director Tarn of the Presians. I treated all 7 Threxian cadets. Their injuries are consistent with controlled strikes. I also treated Cadet Webb. She has a cracked rib, deep bruising, and a split lip. She absorbed significant damage before defending herself. She showed patience most species could not manage. The testimony shifted something in the chamber. Representatives who had seemed ready to condemn Kira were now asking questions. How did 7 cadets access a restricted facility? Why was there no supervision? Why did they lure Kira there? But Calyx pressed his attack. These are secondary issues. The primary concern is clear. Humans are too dangerous. Today, 7 injured cadets. Tomorrow, what? 7 dead ambassadors? We cannot risk allowing Deathworlders into positions where they have power over civilized species. Marcus felt anger building. He controlled it carefully, but he let some of it color his voice. Ambassador Vorn, let me be very clear about something. You are not afraid my daughter will lose control. You are afraid she will remain in control. You are afraid humans will prove to be better than you at things you thought you dominated. For 300 years, you have maintained a system where nobody from high gravity, high oxygen, competitive worlds was allowed power. You called it safety. I call it monopoly. The chamber reacted. Some species shouted agreement. Others objected. Velm called for order repeatedly. Marcus continued, speaking over the noise. You evolved on gentle worlds where cooperation was easy. You built societies without serious conflict. Then you met the Crinner, Deathworlders without ethics, and they nearly destroyed you. So you made a rule, no Deathworlders in power, ever, for any reason. You dressed it up as protection, but it was really about control. Humans are not Crinner, he said forcefully. We have ethics. We have laws. We build civilizations. And yes, we have capability. That capability frightens you because it challenges everything you have built. You are not afraid my daughter is violent. You are afraid she is competent. Several delegates were on their feet now, some supporting Marcus, others opposing him. The chamber was dividing along philosophical lines. Species that valued strength respected what Kira had done. Species that valued consensus saw her as a threat to galactic harmony. High Arbiter Velm raised his voice above the chaos. "Order! This council will maintain order." The chamber slowly quieted. Velm looked exhausted. This debate reveals fundamental disagreements about the nature of civilization. We cannot resolve them quickly. Therefore, the council will vote on immediate action. 3 options. He displayed them holographically. Option 1. Expel Cadet Web and establish a formal ban on human participation in interstellar institutions. Option 2. Exonerate Cadet Web but implement mandatory monitoring protocols for all human participants in council activities. Option 3. Fully exonerate Cadet Web and establish that self-defense rights apply equally regardless of species physiology. The chamber erupted again. Delegates argued with each other in their sections. Alliances formed and dissolved. Political calculations were made rapidly. Marcus stood silent at the center, waiting. He had said everything he could say. Now it came down to votes. Velm called for order once more. "We will vote in 1 hour. Delegates, consider carefully. This decision affects not just one cadet, but the fundamental principles of how we define civilization and rights." The recess began. Marcus stepped off the platform and immediately checked his communication device. A message from Kira. "Whatever happens, I am glad I stayed. Some things are worth fighting for." Marcus felt emotion surge but controlled it. His daughter had shown courage in the face of systematic harassment. She had defended herself when attacked. She had been everything humans claim to be: strong, ethical, and capable of restraint even under extreme pressure. Now, the galaxy had to decide if that was enough. Around him, delegates moved between sections, making deals, trading favors, applying pressure. The Threxian contingent was lobbying aggressively for Option 1. Several neutral species were leaning toward Option 2 as a compromise. A smaller group supported Option 3, mostly species with military traditions who understood the value of controlled violence. Marcus approached several delegates personally. The Volca representative, whose species valued logic above emotion. The Corvan delegate, whose homeworld had .8G and who understood physical capability better than most. The Thelian ambassador, whose species had 4 arms and prided themselves on pragmatism. He made his case quietly. Humans want to contribute to the galactic community. We have skills, knowledge, and perspective that could benefit everyone. But we cannot do that if capability is treated as guilt. Judge us by our actions, not our biology. Some listened. Others dismissed him. The hour passed quickly. When the council reconvened, tension filled the chamber. Velm called for votes. Representatives indicated their choices through their chamber systems. The holographic display showed results in real time. Option 1, 12 votes. Option 2, 19 votes. Option 3, 16 votes. No majority. Velm's expression was unreadable. The vote is split. We will move to runoff between options 2 and 3. More debate. More lobbying. Species recalculated positions. Finally, the second vote was called. Marcus watched the display, his heart racing despite his calm exterior. Numbers updated rapidly. Option 2, 21 votes. Option 3, 26 votes. Humanity won by 5 votes. High Arbiter Velm announced the decision with formal gravity. By vote of this council, we find that Cadet Kira Webb acted in legitimate self-defense against coordinated assault. No disciplinary action will be taken. Furthermore, the council affirms that physiological capability does not determine legal rights. All species, regardless of origin world classification, are entitled to equal treatment under galactic law. The chamber reacted with mixed sounds. Some delegates stood and applauded. Others sat in stony silence. The Threxian ambassador left the chamber entirely, his crest dark with fury. But the decision was made. Velm continued. However, this council offers a statement of concern to humanity. You have proven your capability. You have shown that humans can control themselves under pressure. But capability without wisdom is dangerous. The galaxy will be watching. Use your strength carefully. Marcus felt relief flood through him, but he kept his expression neutral. High Arbiter, humanity understands the responsibility that comes with capability. We will prove ourselves worthy of the trust this council has shown. As the session ended, delegates approached Marcus. Some offered congratulations. Others issued warnings disguised as advice. The Volca representative, Prin's parent unit, said simply, "Your daughter has changed something today. The door has been opened. Do not let your species waste this opportunity." Marcus returned to his quarters and immediately contacted Kira. Her face appeared on the screen, bruised but smiling. "I heard. We won by 5 votes. It was close. Close is enough." Kira paused. "What happens now?" "Now you finish your education. You prove that today was not an exception. You show them humans can be trusted, no pressure or anything." Marcus smiled. "You just fought 7 opponents in 9 seconds and triggered an interstellar political crisis. I think you can handle some academic pressure." Back at the academy, the aftermath of the incident reshaped social dynamics. The 7 Threxian cadets were expelled after investigation revealed their conspiracy. Vornskel's father, Admiral Kell, was officially reprimanded for abuse of influence. The combat facilities access protocols were updated to prevent similar situations, but the biggest change was in how other cadets treated Kira. The fear remained, but it was now mixed with respect. She had been tested in the most direct way possible and had proven herself capable without losing control. Kira's squadmates approached her the day she returned to classes. Jex, the 4-armed Felian, spoke for the group. "We owe you an apology. We avoided you because we were afraid. We believed the rumors. But you showed more restraint than most of us would have. I would be honored to serve with you." Prin, who had never abandoned Kira, added quietly through their speaker, "You changed something. Not just for humans. For everyone who was dismissed because of where they came from or what they looked like. You proved that being different is not the same as being wrong." Commander Rill called Kira to his office that afternoon. The Vexen instructor studied her with all 4 eyes. "The Advanced Tactical Program has an opening. It is designed for cadets who show exceptional aptitude for combat leadership. I am offering you a position." Kira hesitated. "Will it cause problems?" "Some people still think I should not be here. Some people will always think that." "Ignore them. You have a gift for controlled violence. That gift can be used to protect people or harm them. I want to teach you to use it wisely." Rill paused. "The galaxy needs warriors who understand both power and restraint. You are one of the few who comprehends both." Kira accepted. Over the following months, the Academy adjusted to having a human among them. It was not easy. Kira still faced prejudice. Some instructors graded her more harshly. Some cadets avoided her. But slowly, gradually, she became part of the community. Her performance in the Advanced Tactical Program was exceptional. She combined human strategic thinking, developed through millennia of warfare, with galactic knowledge. She saw patterns others missed. She calculated probabilities instinctively. And when simulations required combat, she executed with precision that made instructors take notice. By the end of her first year, Kira ranked in the top 10% of her class overall. In tactical subjects, she ranked first. Other changes rippled outward from the incident. The Council's decision opened pathways for other humans. 3 months after Kira's exoneration, 5 more humans applied to the Academy. All were accepted. Within a year, 47 human cadets attended. Earth's relationship with the Galactic Council stabilized. The close vote had revealed which species supported humanity and which remained suspicious. Marcus used that knowledge to build alliances carefully. Humanity began contributing to Council initiatives, disaster relief, scientific research, and eventually military support. The Threxian Dominion remained hostile, but their influence was checked by species who recognized that diversity made the Council stronger, not weaker. 3 years after the incident, Kira Webb graduated from the Interstellar Naval Academy with honors. She received her commission as a junior tactical officer and was assigned to a council cruiser under Captain Torvin, the former commandant who had overseen the investigation. At her graduation ceremony, Kira stood with 800 fellow graduates from across the galaxy. 47 were human. As they took their oaths to serve the Council and protect civilized space, Marcus watched from the audience. Later, in private, Marcus met with Kira one final time before she shipped out. "You opened the door," he said. "Now a generation of humans will walk through it." Kira looked out at the stars visible through the station's observation port. "I kicked the door down. That was the easy part. Proving we deserve to be here, that is harder. But possible? Yes, because we are not just strong. We are adaptable. We learn. We cooperate when needed and fight when necessary. That is what evolution on Earth taught us. That is what we bring to the galaxy." 10 years after the incident, over 3,000 humans served in various council institutions. They were scientists, engineers, diplomats, and military officers. They faced prejudice still, but they also earned respect. The galaxy learned that Deathworlders were not inherently dangerous. They were inherently capable. And capability guided by ethics and wisdom was exactly what a diverse civilization needed. Kira Webb eventually became one of the youngest officers promoted to commander in Council fleet history. She specialized in tactical operations and conflict resolution. She used her understanding of violence to prevent it more often than to inflict it, and when asked about the 9 seconds that changed everything, she always said the same thing: "I defended myself. That is all. The galaxy decided what it meant. I just showed them what humans are, strong enough to fight, wise enough to choose when not to." The age of Deathworlder integration had begun, not with diplomacy alone, but with a combination of capability and restraint. Humanity proved that being dangerous was not the same as being a threat. Some doors opened with negotiation. Others required demonstration. Kira Webb kicked down the door in 9 seconds. But humanity spent generations proving they deserved to walk through it. And in that balance between strength and wisdom, Earth found its place among the stars. Retriclod can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.